My thoughts are, and it might be controversial, hello everybody, welcome back to my channel. If you're new here, my name is Imai and this is BeatTV. BeatTV is a series on my channel where we watch an episode of a TV show. It's been mostly cartoons, but we can switch it up if you want to while I put my makeup on. Today, okay, I did a poll that said, do we want to do Valentine's Day or Black History Month episode, or just a black centered show? Last time we were here, I'm not gonna say last week because it wasn't, we were here, we did Class of 3000, a black centered show. Y'all voted for Valentine's Day, and it's not a Valentine's Day episode. It came out in November, but it's love centered, so I kind of want to watch it. Today we are watching season 5 episode 6 of All Grown Up, called All Broke Up. I guess let's get started. I don't know that I have much to say about this episode until we get into it, so let's get into it. So, oh my god, my voice. So in the beginning of season 5, I want to say season 5 episode 1, Tommy is forced to go to Hebrew school by his mom, where he meets Rachel, and Rachel becomes his girlfriend. So in the beginning of this episode, Rachel and Tommy are sitting down in the park watching a movie, maybe like movie night at the park. I don't know, I've never done those. They're watching this funny movie and Tommy leans in to like hug her or just like be cozy with her, and she's like, we gotta talk. So the next day at the Java Lava, they're sitting at one of the tables and Rachel's like, well, my family is moving. And Tommy is like, oof, girl, I thought you was breaking up with me. And she's like, I kind of am. And Tommy's like, oh, I guess you are. He goes, how long have you known? He goes, for a few weeks now. And she goes, well, when are you leaving? Tomorrow. Girl, what? So she's like, I'm not gonna goodbyes, so I'm just gonna say bye. And then she runs out, and Tommy's sitting at the table kind of sad, like, my shorty's leaving me. And he saves the bottle cap from the soda she was drinking and puts it in his pocket. Aww. So y'all already know how this goes. If you don't, in shows like this, there's an A plot and a B plot. I usually mainly go over the A plot unless the plots meet up at the end. We're not going to get too deep into it, but the B plot is that Angelica's mom just lost her job at the whatever she does, and she's looking for something to get her back into the game and back on her feet. Dill invents this game that I can't remember the name of. We'll get to it. And that is what she is using to try to get herself back on the map as like a marketing executive. So she starts harassing Dill with the details, trying to get the details of this game so she can market it and sell it, is basically what's happening. So that's the B plot. We're gonna go back to Tommy and his antics. So back at home, Tommy is sitting with a tub of ice cream, some tissues, and a picture of Rachel, and he's just disclosing to Dill that his plan is to sit there, watch some movies, cry a little bit, cut Rachel out of all of his pictures, and just be sad and mourn the loss of his relationships. So he starts to eat this ice cream and he's trying to cry and he's just not crying. He's just not sad. So at lunch, oh my god, my tongue just did a thing. At lunch, Phil, Lil, Kimmy, and Chucky are sitting down and they're like, I can't eat, I'm too sad about Tommy's breakup. And they're like, yeah, I know, me too. And then Tommy gets to the table and he just sits down with his lunch, just chilling. Like, so Phil tosses, oh my god, Phil tosses Tommy's lunch in the trash and he's like, how could you be eating at a time like this? And he's like, well, I can't, you just threw my lunch out. And he goes, you need time to deal with this heartbreak, you know, you just got dumped. And he's like, I didn't get dumped, she moved and now I'm moving on. What is there to be heartbroken over? And Phil, we've been over this episode before, remember forever ago when we did the episode with Phil and Wally and Lil being he was like, I've been through a breakup before with Wally and I understand your pain, dude. You gotta simmer in that pain. And he's like, I'm not in pain, I'm fine. And they're just like, I don't believe you. You are sad. Tommy's like, Chucky, do I look sad? And he's like, no, you're fine. And he's like, see, I'm leaving. He gets up and moves to a different table and the whole table is like, that poor kid is in denial. He is torn to bits. Look at him sitting there all sad. Meanwhile, this man man is a-okay. The gang starts doing stuff for him, like taking his notes, tying his shoes, ordering him smoothies, and whole time he's like, I'm fine. What is this? And now he's getting frustrated because his friends just won't believe that he's okay. He's like, I'm sick of this. So Tommy and Dill are walking through the mall, and he's frustrated. He's expressing his frustrations towards his friends. And he's like, I am kind of relieved about the breakup. I don't have to shower every single day. I can eat onion rings. Like, I'm young. I need to be free. The same thing he's been saying throughout the entire episode since they've broken up. And Dill is like, all right, when my whole class had chickenpox and I didn't get it, they were studying me like a science project because they thought I was a freak. So I pretended to have chickenpox and everyone left me alone. So what you need to do is pretend like you are torn up over Rachel, and they'll be so sick of hearing her name that they'll never mention her again. And Tommy's like, you little brother are very smart. So the next day, or later that day, they never, you know, they don't do significant timeline. Tommy and Dill are at home playing video games, and the doorbell rings, and it's Phil and Chucky. So Dill is like, I'm gonna stall, you run upstairs, get in bed, and you need to play the part of distressed, just dumped boyfriend. So Tommy gets under the covers. He starts doing the whole whining and crying act. In the shower, he's doing the whole whining and crying act. And then the next day at school, he's acting like a crazy person. I'm just gonna roll the clip.
Q&A. Who was the founder of the colony of Virginia?
John Rachel Smith.
Not quite. Second chance, T-Man. In 1620, what pilgrim colony was founded?
New Rachel.
Now see, this is where we take it too far. This is where it's getting a little too much. In class, like, if it were me, I would have just sat there looking stressed and sad and depressed, and then maybe like drop a tear or two so that my friends would believe that I was actually like sad. Like, they would look over and see me shed a tear and be like, oh my god, she's so sad. Not this mess. What are we doing? Oh my god. Like, it gets so bad in class that he gets sent to the nurse's office for a mental problem, taking it a wee bit too far. So in the nurse's office, Dill is there. Tommy is like, it's so fun getting to be a whack job and getting away with it. Everyone thinks I'm so distressed over her. And he says, well, they're taking me bowling tonight, and at bowling, I'm gonna make it come to a head and do a full meltdown in the bowling alley so that this can be over for good and I don't have to talk about Rachel anymore. They're not gonna be on my case anymore. Like, tonight is the night where it all stops. So they get there. Tommy's like, we can't bowl at this lane. Me and Rachel used to bowl in this lane. We have to move somewhere else. They moved to a different lane. This is lane number 8. 8 was her favorite number, so they moved to a different lane. And they start bowling, and Tommy is just sitting there in his act looking all sad. And his friends are clearly getting sick of him acting this way. And he goes, do you mind if I take a moment alone? And they're like, go. So he steps to like the concession place, the snack spot, to get a pretzel, and he's like giggling to himself about like the performance he just put on. So as Tommy is laughing to himself, there's this really cute girl next to him, and she's like, what's so funny? And he's like, oh, nothing, I was just talking to myself. And he goes, well, that kind of makes me look like a mental patient, doesn't it? And she's like, that's what I was thinking, but I'm pretty sure my sister would be down to give you a ride back to the home if you needed a ride. And he goes, I'll take a rain check on the ride. And she goes, well, do you have a girlfriend, and do you have some paper? And he's like, no, I don't have a girlfriend, but no, I also don't have any paper. So she uses her marker to write her phone number on his hand, and he's like walking back to his friends all smiley because he just met some cute girl, but he's still got to put his act on for this Rachel situation. This is the B plot meeting the A plot. I was about to call her Aunt Charlotte, but Angelica's mom, as a part of the marketing thing for Dill's game, is doing a launch party for the game. So the gang devises a plan. Chucky, Kimmy, Phil, and Lil, they make a plan to invite Rachel to the launch party because Tommy's been so sad over her. But Tommy just told still that he wants to invite the cute girl he just met at the bowling alley to the launch party. So the next day at school, the guys are counting their money and Kimmy's on the phone with Rachel asking her like, okay, so this train that you're gonna take is the closest one to the club and that's how you're gonna get here. And Rachel's like, and she goes, you know, thank you, Rachel, for doing all of this. And she goes, it's the least that you can do after you guys pooled your savings and stayed up all night to make this happen. For Tommy to invite another girl. When Tommy gets to the table, everyone packs up their stuff and leaves. He thinks it's because he just put on this act and they don't want anything to do, but they're leaving because they're setting up this surprise. So at the launch party, Tommy completely drops the act and he's like, everyone's like, Tommy, you look normal. And he's like, well, yeah, thanks to you guys, the worst of it is over and I've made it to the other side and everything's cool. At the same time, Tommy looks in this direction and Chucky looks in this direction, but they both shout, there she is. There who is. And here comes Amelia. I want to say her name is. I'm gonna put it somewhere if I'm wrong. Coming from one direction and Rachel coming from the other direction. Tommy's like, you invited Rachel? And they're like, you brought a date? And they're like, you're supposed to be miserable. He goes, I faked it. You guys would not get off my back, so I gave you what you wanted so you can leave me alone. Her name is Anita. So both of the girls walk up to Tommy and he's like, Rachel, this is Anita. Anita, this is Rachel. So Anita's like, this is not cool. And Rachel is like, I took a 45-minute train ride for this. You are a big jerk and I never, ever, ever want to talk to you again. And Tommy is standing there like an idiot. And he looks at the bottle cap in his hand that he saved from their last date. And now he is actually really for real distraught over her. Chucky comes over to make him feel better because the movie that they were watching at the park in the beginning is on TV and he figured Tommy would be watching it, so he came over to make him feel better. And he is now real life distraught over Rachel. Now, my thoughts are, and it might be controversial, our boy Thomas didn't really do anything wrong here. How would he have known that they were gonna invite Rachel? And they weren't getting off his back. So he thought to do what was, I mean, these kids are 10. It's 10-year-old logic. But what did he do that was really wrong? I mean, it was real weird to invite a girl to this party when just like 2 days ago your friends thought you were torn up, broken up, and distraught over your ex-girlfriend. That was odd at most, but was it wrong? I don't think so. I think he could have been like, hey y'all, distress is over. Before the party, distress is over. I met a super cool girl and I kind of want to invite her to the party. It was just a lot of assuming and not a lot of communicating, but I don't think our boy Thomas did anything wrong here. Also, if they broke up on, like, it was circumstances beyond both of their control, why are we expecting him to be torn apart over this? Like, they just can't be together because of long distance and they can't see each other. I would be sad, but I don't know that I'd be torn apart, heart ripped out of my chest, my aorta's hurting. Like, I don't think that would be me. Part of me would accept, like, the circumstances are what they are and it is what it is. I definitely wouldn't be as chill as Tommy is, but he has the right to not be torn apart over this. Like, it was just what the circumstances were, and his friend's trying to push that grief onto him. Like, why would you want your friend to grieve? If my friend just got out of a breakup and they were saying they were fine, I'd be like, oh, awesome, I'm glad you're not torn apart by this. You know, like, why are we forcing grief on this man? It's great that he's okay. And that's it, I guess. Let's wrap up the B plot. Dill was feeling kind of stalked and harassed by his aunt. TT Charlotte said, my bad for doing all that to you. It wasn't about you, it was about me trying to get my career back. Dill was like, I know, but you were kind of intense. And she was like, yeah, my bad. And that was the end of that. No one really did anything wrong here. I think the circumstances were what they were, and it sucks that Tommy actually ended up hurting Rachel in the end and ended up with no bitches. But that's not his fault. His friends were going kind of crazy with the grief thing. That man is not, he's not obligated to grieve. I mean, that's how I feel about that. don't push grief on him. Be glad that he's okay. That's all I have to say this week. This one was mostly recap and not a lot of opinions, but I'm going to turn the camera off and film another one right now. So thank you guys so much for watching, and I'll see you guys next time.